Well, hi, there's Hap for Hap around the house. And you want to turn this, which will eventually rust through. Look at this underneath here. See all this? That is going to rust through. But I'll show you what I did on the other side, and then I'll show you what we needed. But what I did is I ground all this down, and then I hit it with some of the truck bed paint. The really rough, tough paint. And you can see that all this rust, this was rusted worse because it's a driver's door and your feet hit it and everything. But I'll show you over here a second what you got to pull off. And as I picked up Rust-Oleum-TRUCK bed coating, and I wanted to get black primer, but I don't have any black primer at home, so guess what? We just went with gray primer. It's not ideal, but we went with it. So you'll need that. You'll need some tape. You'll need a grinder. You can put this on a drill. It'll take a little while longer. This thing spins at like 6,000 or 10,000 RPMs, so it takes it off in a hurry. You'll need one of these or a drill with this on there, of course, hearing protection, eye protection, little piggy protection. I also have a cutout so that when you paint, the overspray doesn't get on everything. See how that works? So you have to pop off a couple of the plastic things, and they're all on this anyways. This is a Toyota Rav4. They're all pretty robust, but you got to take these off. This one right here. Now be careful, there's wiring under there, so just don't go under there with a samurai sword and start trying to pull stuff, because you might go through your wires. So you pull that one off like that, and then you got to manipulate it a little bit. There we go. See that one? That's really all you need. And then you can pull this up like that. See? Now you have full access. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut her off. I'm going to do a little grinding. We'll bring you back on once I got a little bit of the grinding done. But you can see where that's rotting. And another little tip is you put a little oil down in there. And then that will get down into here, into the, I don't know what you would call this, but the exterior bottom part here. And it'll keep it from rusting. So I'm going to put a little oil in there too. But we'll tape this off with some tape. This is my tape. I keep it in a bag so that it stays fresh. Otherwise your tape gets brittle and it'll rip on you when you try to take it off. So next step for this is grinding, but we'll bring you back in a minute and show you where we're at. Okay, now for the abrasive part of it. This is what I'm going to use. Again, you can use a drill. There's a couple different ones that you can get. The stiffer, the better. It'll strip it off faster. This one is a wire wheel that's encapsulated in a plastic so that the bristles will stay stiff. I use this basically for undercarriage stuff if I've got a rust spot that I want to take care of. That's not the one I'm going to use. This one's just too soft. Whoops. This one's too soft, and it's also stainless steel. This is a very stiff, bristled. I'm going to hit it once, so watch how this is pointed straight, but when the RPMs hit and centrifugal force pulls, these will go straight out. See that? And that's what you're going to use to pull the paint off. I also have this. After I tape it off, I'm going to rough up this paint so the primer will stick. Just a normal thing you do when you paint stuff. So I've got a couple of pieces of 3M that I'll use to scuff it up. But we're going to take the paint off right here on this rust a sec. We're going to give you a little picture of that, and then we're going to go and move to the next step. Okay, my compressor's running back there. Well, you can see, once you pull in close here, you're going to want to really get in there and get all the rust out of those little pockets. But that's what I'm going to do. We'll bring you back after I have it taped off and completely ground. All right, well, if you made it this far, which you should have, because it's not rocket science, this is easy. I know it's a little hard to take a grinder to your car sometimes when you are unsure of what you're doing, but trust me, I don't know what I'm doing either, so I'm just guessing. So this is all 3M cloth. See how rough that is? Show them how rough that is. And then you can see where I ground down to nice shiny steel. Gotta be shiny. Then you take a cloth, get all the dusty poo off. Sometimes you can use a paint thinner if you want. I've used Windex. In this case, we're going to use absolutely nothing because it doesn't matter what the coating looks like because it's going to be rough because it's truck bed coating, right? So who cares? Let's not waste time if we don't have to, right? So that's done. Now we're going to take our gray primer, which again should be black, but I don't have any. So we're going to go with gray. And I'll show you the reason once we pull the tape off why you want to go with black. But there's ways to mitigate that too. So I'm just checking to make sure all my tape's tight. Now keep in mind, this ridge right here is going to be covered. So if you get a little bit of overspray, it won't matter. But you do not want to spray above this. You do not want to spray beyond that. And you do not want to spray beyond this, hit this, this, or yourself. Now, ventilation is important. Ventilation was important when you're grinding too. It's outside. There's a decent amount of air circulating here, so I wasn't too concerned about wearing a respirator. The amount of paint I'm going to be using here, and there's a nice little breeze coming from behind me, that'll pull it into the car and probably get overspray on stuff, but that's besides the point. You do not need to use ventilation if you're outside and there's a little bit of a breeze. If you're in an enclosed area, obviously, put a respirator on. But this is how you do it. Don't get your finger over the nozzle, though. I'm going to take my glove off, otherwise I know I'm going to do it. So this is how you do it. Just like this. Just get a nice, decent coat of paint. Now remember, don't go beyond that or you'll be scrubbing it off the paint. Then you got to be kind of careful right here. The wind just changed direction, so I'm going to eat a little bit of paint. Let's see how that's done. Just like that. Get a nice even coat. Try not to get any dribbles if you can help it. There, done. That's done. And when you're done with your paint, you turn it upside down to clear the nozzle. So you hear that. There. That's it. We're going to let that dry. We'll come back and show you the truck liner. All right. So here we are. We got some sun on this to dry it faster. It's about 60 degrees out, so it took a little while. But it's nice and dry now. Now, you can see that where I ground through the different layers of paint from the factory. I don't know if you can see it, but in person, it's pretty much plain as day. But what's good is you don't have to worry about it with the truck coating because it's a thicker coat. This is an actual, I don't know the exact thickness, but it will definitely cover up the variations that you see with your eye. Now the reason I'm doing this is because Toyota made this part. Well, they didn't make it, a contractor made it. This is amazingly sharp. And it's sitting on that paint. Now this paint right here that goes up the side here into your pillar is different than your paint down here at the base. This, I don't know what's underneath it, but you can see that it's more of an orange peel type effect. So this has some special coating, probably for all the stones and environment that it's in. This is definitely a cleaner environment because your door closes on it. So this definitely has a thicker coat of paint or a treatment than this. This will be more like this coating down here. But we stopped it right here, and we stopped it up front, and we stopped it down here. So we'll have a clean line because we taped it off. So it'll look professional. We're just going to paint with this. This is Rust-Oleum bed liner paint. You shake it up for a minute because it is thick, and you want to make sure you get it painted. And I always do a little bit of a spray before. Make sure the nozzle's clean and I don't get a big blob of something. So just like this, there's really no trick. The only trick that I like is not having a big drip where you can see it. That's what I try to avoid. So there it is. That is not that tough, is it? That's pretty simple. Now what I do is I go around and make sure I got all the edges. And I do. I have all the edges pretty good. I'm going to hit it right here just a little bit more. Right there. Just like that. Now if you notice there's a place that's thin. Now again, this is going to be covered by your door seal. So that's not unimportant, but it's not as important as where you're going to see the actual paint. Of course, this is going to cover a lot of it too. But I believe that's it. Now what happens is as it sits there, it'll raise and get rough. You can see it doing it already. You can see the paint actually roughing up. And it's kind of cool. So it's a neat paint. I've never used it before, but we noticed that there's some rust underneath these, I don't know what they'd be, kick panels or scratch panels. Anyways, when you enter the door, so your feet, it doesn't do a darn thing. But they were made, it's made out of too hard of plastic, and it scratched through the paint and it rusted. So I'm going to take care of it because I don't want to have that rust, because what that rust will do is it'll run right down. But we're going to let this dry, and then we'll come back and show you what the finished product looks like, and we'll pull tape. Okay, here we are. This is dry. I just wanted to show you this zoom spout. It's just oil. And I always put it in the bottom of your doors. You have little drain holes. Should be 3 or 4 of them in every one. And you just put a little bit of oil in there. Leave your door open for 10 or 15 minutes. Let the oil drip out. And that'll keep the bottom of your doors from rusting out too. I get the zoom oil, then you can take it out, put whatever kind of oil, just lightweight, low viscosity oil is what you're going to want to put in there, like a 10 weight. But it works really good. Keeps rust out from underneath your doors too. Well, here we are. This is pretty dry. What we're going to do is peel the tape. Let's get our cardboard out of there. Come out nice, didn't it? Looks good. Let's see how the paint comes off, or the tape comes off. Sometimes what you'll get when you use the gray primer is, I don't know if you can see it through the camera, but you'll see a little bit of a gray color because you can still see a little bit of that primer. Sometimes you can just brush it a little bit and you can push the paint down because it's still wet, and it'll go around that and contact the surface like that. You can't hardly see it now. And we'll take our part that we just took off like this. Now if I remember correctly, this kind of goes on a little difficult because it's tight back here, so you got to kind of work it in there a little bit. I think last time I took a screwdriver and I had to manipulate the actual door seal a little bit to get it to go down. So I'll have to grab a screwdriver and pry it around a little bit a second. Let me go grab a screwdriver. Let's get an up close shot of that. Come out kind of nice, didn't it? And you know, you really can't tell that that was not factory, that didn't come factory. Now if you wanted to, you could have went all the way around the bottom, but this was in good shape, so I didn't really see any reason to do that. Now the whole idea here is not to rip this. We really don't want to rip that if we can help it, and I don't really want to rip it. Now what we could do too is put that down first, which maybe is what I should have done now that I think about it. Let's pop this back out. And we can just maybe pull this up a little bit, make it a little easier on ourselves, huh? Just like that. Put that down first. That makes more sense. Let's do it that way. Now that's back down, see? Then we'll put this little guy back in like that. Let's go one of these. There it goes. There's like a little spot right here that doesn't have any of the hard plastic in there, and that floats a little bit, so that if it isn't exactly in right, you can pull and push. It's not rigid, it's a little bit flexible. Then you line up these with a clip in there. Yeah. There we go. And that job is almost complete. This one's got to be, is there a clip back here? How do I do that? That one not in? Yeah, we'll have to work on that a little bit, won't we? That's sticking up. There we go. Not terrible. Not terrible at all. I've got, when I had that wire wheel, I kind of scuffed it a little bit, but I've got some touch up. I'll just touch that up a little bit. That's on that incredibly thick bottom coat of paint that's orange peeled. But that came out okay. I like that. And that's going to stop the rust, and it's going to make it look better. So there it is, for App Around the House. If you like our video, subscribe. Thanks for watching.